Good morning, guys. How's it going? Well, I'm out here in the early morning. Early. It's about 10 o'clock, but it's cooler. The too hot to come out here and sit and try to be still and enjoy in the evening. It's just too hot. So I'm here in the morning. But one of the things I wanted to say before I get started today talking is one of the things I wanted to build a community, but I really didn't know how that was going to work. And so I just started, so I just started saying, leave a comment, leave a comment, leave a comment. And somebody made a comment this morning, whoever it was that said that it bothered them that I had no shirt on. I apologize because now it's turned into something funny. But somebody said this morning, I love Kevin's shoulders. So yeah, I love Kevin's shoulders. And when I read that, I cracked up. I just started laughing. It was so, I keep thinking about it and just keep laughing. They're just, and there was a big like smiley face with hearts. I thought that was so funny. So thank you for that comment. And some of the other comments, just do what you want. It's your channel. So guess what? I'm going to do what I want. But, anyway, the community's here, I think, with your comments. So please keep doing it. It's funny. Another one said, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to sit here without getting bothered by birds, but they're all over the place. I fed them twice, and they still keep coming. Ray's here now, but as long as you don't make a noise, we'll ignore him. Somebody asked me, no names, okay? He said his girlfriend said, why do you have long hair and a beard? And I'm like, very good question. Why do I have long hair and a beard? And I'm like, I don't know. Why do I really don't have an answer. So I thought about it, and I thought, I just don't want to say I don't know. So I thought about it for a while, and I thought, okay, I'm going to answer this with like bullet points as fast as I can. So, are you ready? Here goes. Back when I lived in the UK, I was working for Roke Manor Research in Ramsby, can't remember, near Southampton. And I just started having this feeling that I needed to go to Alaska, needed to travel the US. So I started planning. I must have spent most of my free time, or when I had nothing to do, I would sit and plan. Like, how do you open a bank account in the US from the UK and get money in it before you go? Well, I found out how to do it. So I just sat planning and how to buy a motorhome and where to go to get it, and planning the whole trip. So I did all that. So to get to the point, in the first year, we left Florida in the early spring and headed over to Texas to meet up with some friends from the UK. And then they stayed there for like 10 days to do a shooting competition, clay pigeon competition. And then off we went. We followed, basically following the spring north. We got to the mountains of New Mexico and had to wait about 10 days until the snow cleared, and then went a little bit farther and the snow cleared, and so on and so on, and got all the way up to Yellowstone. And some of these stories are, let's say the stories happen along the journey, but not necessarily the same journey, okay? But anyway, we get to Alaska, and every morning I would get up and go into the park, because you can't stay in the actual park overnight. So stayed at a campsite, and the first time I went, the person I was with, she came with me, and complained and grumbled because I would get up like 4 o'clock in the morning, or get up to leave at 4 in the morning so I could be in the park before light. And we got to this one area, and there were some botanists there, not botanists, biologists there. A couple one younger woman, one older woman, and some other people. You know, park officials and not, right? People who are just interested. And I left the car running and walked over and talked to the group, and we're just talking about wolves and stuff like that. And these are biologists, right? And they have the tracking devices and little machines that can track some of them who are tagged. And I'm talking to them, and we're just talking, and then we stopped talking, and then all of a sudden one wolf howled, and then the whole mountain lit up, and your skin literally was electrified. And I was like, oh my, did you hear that? So one, oh, and then the whole mountain lit up with wolves howling. I'm like, dude, it was like this electrifying. That was one incident. Another time in Yellowstone, same thing, with a different group of people. They didn't want to get out of bed. I got up about 3:30, left for about 4 o'clock at a different location, and I wanted to go to the Lamar Valley because the Lamar Valley had the Druid pack of wolves, and I got there early o'clock, and I started feeling something. Can't explain what it was at that time, but I just started like a spidey sense. I'm going to see a wolf. I'm going to see a wolf. And I got out of my vehicle, parked it on the side of the road. Nobody's around it. You know, it was still dark. It's still dark, and I'm walking along the road, and I just seen a glimpse as it was starting to get light of something moving. So I walked farther up, looked behind this berm, and I seen a wolf on the other side of this like stream. And I was like electrified, and I kept trying to hide but watching it, keeping out of his field of view. He probably knew I was there. And then he crossed the river, came up the bank around this berm, and seen me, stood in the road, and I was click, 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 took loads of pictures. He's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, and he just ran up the road, you know, cantering, not right, running fast, just minding his business. Again, unbelievable. And then there was a time, so we got all the way up to Alaska, and I put hot dog over there so he wouldn't bother me, and he found it. So then we drove to Alaska, and we up through Canada into Alaska, drove down to the first campsite where we were going to stay. And you know, I'm still wired up from driving, and when you're up that far north, it doesn't get dark till like really late because of being so far north. And you know, got the vehicle set up, you know, all leveled off and all that sort of stuff, and I'm wide awake. But it's actually 10 something at night, 10:30 or something. I was starting to feel tired, but my mind was awake. So I thought, I'm going to go for a walk. So I walked up the lane we came in to the road, and there was another little road right next to it with a stream in between. So I walked up it, started walking, and there was some railway tracks. So I got to the railway tracks, and just walking along, minding my business, and what comes out of the woods? A grizzly bear. So a grizzly bear was about 50 meters away. Actually, I'm walking, and I looked, spidey sense said, turn around. I looked around, seen him, and there was a train parked, like a cargo train, freight train parked about 50 meters from me. I'm heading towards it, and this bear's about 50 meters behind me. I'm like, I'm probably not going to be able to outrun him. So I just stood there looking at him, and he looking at me, just looking, big, really big guy. And then he just turned and carried on. He was walking out of the woods, over the tracks, and into the woods. I was beside myself, happy that I seen it. Again, skin on fire, electrified, right? And then driving around a little bit farther. I don't even know where I was on this occasion. Somewhere where there's a lot of fishing, deep sea fishing boats. I mean, you don't have to go far for deep sea in Alaska, right? Just wander out a little bit and you're in the deep ocean. But they were catching halibut. But these things were not like they were like 4 or 5 feet long, big fish. And there was eagles everywhere, like pigeons in a city. Eagles everywhere. I was like hundreds of eagles flying around. You could literally almost walk up to them. That's how many there was. Again, electrified. And part of my plan from when I was still in the UK, part of my plan was to go to Prudhoe Bay. So I already planned it. I knew who to contact. So when I got up to, what's it called? Fairbanks? Yeah, Anchorage is in the south. I said Fairbanks. Went to the University of Fairbanks and went into their little museum. And then the next day I was going to meet these guys. They picked me up and took me 500 miles, 800 kilometers down a dirt road. And it took 2 days. We stayed the night at Wiseman in these log cabins. I don't even know if they had electricity, did they? I think they had electricity, but that's about it. And, you know, musty, damp, but it's okay. A place to sleep. Real outdoorman stuff, right? And then the next day we carried on, go up over the Brooks Range, see all the white goats and sheep, and then come down the other side. We've seen the yak, big long-haired yak. I call them hippie ox, right? And then the way the ground's formed because of it freezes. And got to Prudhoe Bay, spent the night. The next morning we went to the ocean, which is not far from where we stayed. And so here I am in June. It was June, I think. In June, I had a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, and a fleece on, and it was cold. But I was going to go in the water, but it's way too cold. If I'd have been on my own, I'd have probably done it. But I was with a group of guys. No women, no kids. Nobody wanted to go there. Just a group of crazy people like myself. But here's a funny story. On the way, at the point where you go over the Arctic Circle, you know, you're going from below to above the Arctic Circle. There's like a rest point there with a sign that says you're now at the Arctic Circle. And so of course we all needed to pee, so he gave us these basketball tube socks. And it's like, what are these for? He says, you'll know. And so we jumped out, and you're trying to pee. Billions of mosquitoes, believe it or not, all over you. Billions of them. And you got your 1% in your hand, and you're trying to do your business, and they're attacking that too. Any skin that was exposed, they got you. And so pee everywhere. What a mess. So as soon as we get back in, he throws us some handy wipes, and the tube socks were to kill all the mosquitoes that followed us in. Hundreds of them. And so we had to kill them all before we could keep going. Again, an experience. That's it on that one. And then when I finally after a long time, we wound up in Oxford, North Carolina, because my mother had a friend who was a librarian, Louise Dorton. She's passed on now, and she was a librarian in Oxford, North Carolina for a long time. And I was talking to her one day, and she was talking to me and asking me questions, and and she says, you know, you sound like Henry David Thoreau. And I didn't really know who he was. I vaguely heard of the name, and I said, you know, explain. And she told me, and because she's a librarian, she got the book and give it to me. And I think I met my friend, my brother, or I met myself. So who are we, really, right? Who are we? And it's a fascinating story. I'm just skating over the top of all these theories and many more. And then I finally got a house And if I can find a picture, I'll include it in here. One day I was in my office. I remodeled the house. I bought it. It was a dump, but I bought it cash with the house money I sold my house for in the UK. Completely remodeled it. Had a really beautiful home. Sitting in my house, looking out the window, and there was a stag deer stood outside by the pond. The pond was like 50 feet or more, 70 feet around. And he walked up from the pond, and he's standing there looking at the house, looking around. I grabbed my camera, ran outside, and took a picture, and he didn't move. I didn't come off the back porch, but I just took some pictures, and I seen that, and it's like, you know, some people would say, you know, whatever, but I seen that, and I was just like, so majestic. Again, an experience with nature. And so that brings me to the last thing. Let's put this down. That brings me to the last thing. Why is Kevin in paradise? What is the point of paradise? What is the point of the waterfall? What is the point of feeding the birds? What is the point? What is the point? So I got over here, there's heroes here and Rays over here looking for food. They don't like each other, so they chase each other away. So what is the point of paradise? Am I perfectly 1000% happy here? I stay because of paradise, because of nature, because I can grow things. There's a part of me, the inner part of me, that says I need that connection. And this is my way of connecting. So to get back to the question, why the hair, why the beard? Who am I? Why am I interested in the things I am? Did I plan to grow the hair? Just stopped getting it cut, and here I am. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. So I ask that you keep commenting. I guess you could say this, right? Who are we? Who am I? If somebody says, "Who are you, Kevin?" and you say, "Well, I'm a mechanic, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a nurse." No, who are you? What makes you tick? What is your inner light? Do we really know that? Profound statement at early o'clock in the morning. Anyway, guys, thank you for the comment. I love Kevin's shoulders. Crack me up. Have a wonder-filled day. Buckets of blessings, rivers of peace, joy, and kindness. All the very best.